Hey guys, it's Wolf Airsoft Gaming, and today I've got a video of the overview of the system of the X-Core-Tec 3300W, how it's supposed to be used, and just over the features of the system itself. So as you can see, I've got the system hooked up to my ACR 5.56 system here, and at the very bottom of the screen, right there, you've got the battery that goes to the fire control unit of the X-Core-Tec, that goes into the gun to the trigger, that goes down to the motor, and that's the entire system right there. So you can count BBs down and up, and you can get your rate of fire and your rounds per second without having the fire control unit inside the gun. So you can just attach the suppressor to your gun and view everything else. The only reason why that's in there is they claim it's a MOSFET, however it's not actually integrated in the trigger, so it's not a true MOSFET, but it disables your gun from firing once your BB counter has hit 0. So that's an awesome feature. I'll go over that later, but essentially if you have a 75 round mid-cap fully loaded, you put it in your gun after 70 rounds, you can disable your gun from firing, and you know you're out of BBs, and there will be absolutely no dry firing. This is going to increase your effectiveness by knowing when you're actually out of rounds, and it is going to be healthier for your gun because it won't be dry firing. Okay, so essentially how this is right now, it's extremely simple. We've got the battery connected to the fire control unit that is connected to the trigger that then goes to the battery. I didn't draw the trigger in there, but this is actually an attempt to figure out where to integrate an actual MOSFET. I'll get there later. So by the current going into this, this will prevent the gun from firing by blocking off voltage going to the trigger and the motor. It'll stop there when indicated. It actually has an IR receiver on board to close the circuit when necessary. So as you can tell, the FCU unit is currently on because of its flashing yellow light, and there's a small button above it, and if you press it, it blinks faster. And I'm not sure what the hell that is. I haven't looked at the instructions yet, so I'm going to figure that out later. Press it one more time and it goes back to the regular flashing pattern. Okay, so with it on the regular flashing pattern, I have not turned the fire control unit. Sorry, that's the FCU, this is the display unit, and that is the tracer behind the battery down there. So I haven't turned the tracer or the display unit on yet. I have simply plugged in my battery to the gun. That's it. And if I go to pull the trigger, my gun will fire fine. Now, I'm just going to turn just the tracer on and attempt to fire the gun again. And that seems to be doing fine also. Now, if I turn the display unit on, it's showing 15 rounds that I have left. I can still fire the gun. However, okay, so as you can see, I've got the fire control unit activated up there, and currently it has 15 rounds set on the monitor. Make that a bit brighter so you can see it. Now I've got the tracer unit right here, but I'm going to be dropping BBs through it since I'm inside, and it'll simulate it counting down. Okay, so now we've reached 0. Now if I go to fire the gun, it sends 3 small electrical noises from the motor that lets me know that because of this unit, I'm not able to fire the gun. It is not a malfunction, but it's because of this unit. That's the same for semi and full auto. You'll get the same response. Now, if I want to reset it, I'm going to hold the button down here. It'll reset to 15 rounds is what I've preset it to. You can set it up to 9,999. And if I go to fire the gun again, it works fine. And it's, so essentially that's the mechanical and electrical part of this system. Now what I have found to be curious is if I turn the tracer unit off, as you can see here, it's not flashing. I'll turn it on again, and when you turn it off, there's the white flash. So I've just turned it off, and if I go to shoot my gun again, my gun suddenly doesn't work because of the FCU, as indicated by the 3 noises coming from the battery. Okay, well, let me just turn this tracer back on. As you can see, the green light's there. And if I go to shoot again, the gun starts functioning again. Now, I'm going to keep this tracer unit on, and I'm going to turn off the display unit. Notice all the while I still have 15 rounds left until this should disable my gun. So if I turn this to the off position, however, this unit is still on, and I go to fire my weapon, I get the same indication that my weapon cannot fire. So what this means is if you're in battle, or I shouldn't say in battle, if you're using your airsoft gun, and the batteries die in your display unit or the tracer unit, your gun is rendering useless, as long as you have that plugged in. Now, as I showed you earlier, if I just plug this in and I don't restart it without these 2 on, so I just plug in the battery and I have both of these off, the gun will function fine. However, as soon as you turn these on, they are dependent upon each other. So that fire control unit is dependent on both of these. So if the battery dies in your gun, obviously, the display unit or the tracer unit at any time while they're connected to your weapon system, your gun is dead and you can't use it. Now, if you just use these 2 without the fire control unit, your gun's electrical system will be completely independent of these 2. With just these 2 plugged in, this will be able to count FPS, rounds per minute, counting up and counting down. However, if you reach 0, your gun will not stop firing. So ultimately, that greatly limits your gun, but it gives you a very unique feature, which I love and is why I bought this system, is because the only reason that would be installed on your weapon is to stop your rifle from firing. And as awkward and perverse as that sounds, that's exactly its purpose, which is a very unique one. So I'm going to go outside and show you how useful this feature actually is, despite its quirks, rather. Okay, so this is where the X-Cortec 3300W really comes in handy. So I've got a little bit of gear on, not much, just to give it more of a in-game feel. So I've loaded my mid-cap magazines here with 20 rounds each, approximately, you know, give or take some. So I'm going to set my BB counter, that I've already set it to, on down to 15. Should leave about 4 extra. So I've got my display unit here that says 15. I'm going to turn my tracer unit on. The light's up green. And because of this, my magazine should be about empty and the gun will automatically stop firing. So I'm going to hold this button down. It's going to reload for me. And we'll do it one, again, even though there's a new magazine, if I go to fire, nothing. So I'm gonna hold the button down, gonna go full auto. I just hold the trigger down, and it lets me know when I'm out. And would you look at that? Perfect. Okay, so to wrap this episode up, I'd like to basically sum everything up in a few words. Number one, you can use the X-Core-Tec 3300 without the fire control unit over there. Now, another question that I haven't answered in this video is, can you connect a normal MOSFET while still using that? And the answer is, I don't know yet. I'm working on that. And the answer is absolutely yes, you should be able to. As you can tell, when I had that plugged in, and it's not like it cuts the power from your gun, because obviously when I pulled the trigger, it makes the 3 electronic sounds of the motor turning, so there's still electricity going to that. And so it should be able to power MOSFET, and there should always be a constant flow going. But again, I'm not too sure about that. Don't hold me against it. And I'll experiment that later with a MRF 3.2 MOSFET. So I also got a little project that I'm going to be doing with the display unit. It won't be on the gun. So that wraps it up for this episode of Wolf Airsoft Gaming. Again, any questions, please ask me. They might actually make me think a little bit and do some research on it if I can't answer it automatically. And with that, this wraps it up for this episode of Wolf Airsoft Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next video.